I'm working pretty fast, but if you want to make sure that you get an even amount of twists and turns, go ahead and just take your time with it. As always with jewelry making, this is not a quick process, so don't rush it. That's how you're going to get a really great result. Now, I know what you're thinking. You may want to be like, oh, I can do this when I'm watching TV or listening to music. And I'm going to go ahead and warn you not to do that. I tried to do that the first time I did this. The first time I tried to do this, I tried to watch TV or maybe listen to music, and it just really distracted me. You really need to focus exactly how tight your braids are, or else they're just going to be, some are tight and some are going to be loose. And so you really, really need to focus on this step. And I know it's not the funnest thing in the world, but you just really got to look to see what you're doing almost the whole time. You may have noticed that my wire has been scratching on my table. This table, we don't really care what happens to it, but make sure you have that self-healing healing mask that I told you guys about on your workstation. We don't want your table to get all scuffed up. The end is in sight, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost there. This is more than enough we'll need for our ring, but like I said, you never know what can happen. Always make room for mistakes in case they happen. As you can see, this took quite a bit of time and you don't want to have to redo it. All right, well, we kind of reached the end of our twisted wire. So I'm just going to go ahead and carefully take off this part. I don't really need to be too careful because that's just a nail, but if you're using something at home that you don't want to get damaged, make sure that your cuts are nice and careful with that. We don't need this part, so just put it in the trash. Next up, let's remeasure what we're going to need for our lovely, lovely ring. Remember, it was around almost a perfect size 6. And I'm just going to mock up a design here. This wire is super strong now, so it's going to be a little bit of some muscle needed to get it around there. But we're going to be adjusting it as we go on. So we just want to kind of get to see how much of slack I do not need and how much we can kind of snip off. As you can see, the end of one wire is right here, and I'm going to cut the wire where we don't need it anymore in a similar fashion on the other side, because I want the two ends to kind of match up. I'll tell you why later. It's going to be a little surprise right now. Okay, so now we have this. That's going to be our base for our ring. I'm going to try it out. Feels pretty good, feels a little bit loose, but we can fix that later. Yep, all the little braids that we did look very even and perfect. That's awesome, so good job on that. Next up, I'm going to take out my bead. Today I'm using some kind of like a blue, crystal-y, magical fairy princess type thing. I don't know, I think it's cool. You are welcome to use any type of wire, any type of bead or plastic little gem, whatever you find. Just remember to make sure that it has a pre-drilled hole, as always. Next up, we're going to attach this little guy to our ring, and I am using a 26 gauge wire. We want it to be super thin. You definitely do not have to use it in contrasting colors. I'm using it in contrasting colors because I want you to see what we're doing, and it's going to just be easier for you. But if that's your style, then go for it. So this wire is super thin. It's very, very flexible, and so it may be a little bit tricky to work with just at first, but I know you're going to get the hang of it. Again, I'm not too concerned with it being super, super straight. And I'm just gonna eyeball it. I don't really measure that much because with wire you can always add or take away really, really easily. But I think this is gonna be more than plenty for what we're gonna use. So let's go ahead and take out our lovely wire plier again. And almost like if we were sewing or tying something with string, that's exactly what we're gonna do here, similar to what we did with the bracelet. So I know you guys are totally on board and you guys can do this. It's almost the same thing as our first project. You guys got this. Haha. Success. If you guys aren't sure exactly how I got to that conclusion, I'll go ahead and show you. I'm just gonna put my bead right on top. I do want a little bit of the black wire to show